Nothe Fort is a substantial fortification on the south coast of England, in the town of Weymouth, Dorset. The fort sits on a peninsula, which extends due east from the town, looking over Weymouth Harbour and Portland Harbour, a former naval base of strategic significance. I was lucky enough to visit the site early this May and found it to be a fascinating piece of English history and some amazing architecture. The fort was constructed between 1860 and 1872. The considerable work was undertaken by 26 Company Royal Engineers, who undertook the levelling of the site, construction of the huge sea wall, and the adding of the upper earthen parapet, all of which was completed by 1869, and by 1872 the fort was fully commissioned. The fort consists of 3 main levels. The underground magazine was the lowest level, protected by the thick walls. The ground level casemates housed the heavy muzzle-loading cannons, and space for their gunners to live. And finally the ramparts, from which smaller caliber weapons would operate. The fort was modernised over the years. In 1938, the site was modified to act as a central anti-aircraft ammunition depot, and it wasn't until 80 years after its construction began that the fort saw its first combat during the Second World War. It was armed with 4 Vickers 3.7-inch AA guns and a 40mm Bofors gun. In 1940 it fired warning shots on 2 unknown ships in the area, which subsequently identified themselves as refugee ships from the Channel Islands. Additionally, there is an interesting entry into the logbook of the fort regarding Luftwaffe aircraft in the area being fired upon by the anti-aircraft battery. The fort was abandoned in 1956 as it was no longer required for coastal defence, and as a result it fell into a state of dereliction and served as a paradise for the youths of the 1960s and 70s. During this time, it was acquired and planned to be turned into a luxury hotel, but this plan was abandoned soon after work began. I would particularly have loved to explore the fort at this time in its state of dereliction and decay. In the 1980s, the fort's magazine was secretly converted into a nuclear bunker for civil administration, and was equipped with a command centre, accommodation, and heavy blast doors. The fort has now become a museum, which is well worth a look if you're in the Weymouth area. Attendance will support the ongoing upkeep of the site, and there will soon be an event commemorating the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landing, which would certainly be worth a look if you're nearby. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider subscribing to my channel and leaving a like or a comment.